All right, let's dive into a programming language that's a true legend. It was created way back in 1995, but even today, it's still one of the most powerful and widely used languages on the entire planet. We're talking, of course, about Java.
You know that feeling when you have to write the same thing over and over and over again? Maybe it's a report or an email where you're just tweaking a few small details. It's so tedious, right? Well, imagine if that was your entire job. For software developers back in the early 90s, that was pretty much their daily reality. See, before Java came onto the scene, if you wanted to create software, you had to rewrite and recompile huge chunks of your code for every single operating system. You want it to run on Windows? Okay, you code it and compile it. Now you want it on a Mac? You got to code it and compile it all over again. It was a massive, massive headache.
So all this inefficiency was just screaming for a better way to do things. The whole industry was basically waiting for a breakthrough. And what they got? Well, it was a revolution. The write-once revolution.
Java's entire philosophy was boiled down into this one incredibly powerful promise: write once, run anywhere. The idea was so simple but absolutely profound. A developer could write their program just one time, and that same program would work on any computer, on any platform, no rewriting needed. It was a total game changer.
So you're probably thinking, how did they actually pull this off? It sounds a little bit like magic, doesn't it? Well, to understand that, we need to take a look at Java's secret sauce.
Okay, here's the breakdown. A developer writes their code in regular human-readable Java, but when they compile it, it doesn't get turned into machine code for one specific computer. Nope. Instead, it creates this really unique thing called bytecode.
Think of this bytecode as a universal language, and the real magic happens with something called the Java Virtual Machine, or JVM. You can picture the JVM as a universal translator that lives right on your computer. So it doesn't matter if you have a PC, a Mac, or a Linux machine. As long as it has a JVM installed, it can read that universal bytecode and translate it into instructions your specific machine understands. And here's where you really see the payoff. Just compare that to older languages like C++. With C++, you could literally spend hours and hours recompiling your code for every different operating system. With Java, you compile it once into that universal bytecode, and that's it. You're done. It can run anywhere that has a JVM.
But being portable wasn't Java's only trick, not by a long shot. Let's dig into some of its other superpowers that made it so incredibly popular. It's powerful, it's secure, and it's surprisingly simple to use.
First up, Java was designed from the get-go to be easy to learn. Its syntax was based on C++, so it felt really familiar to a lot of developers. It also came with this huge library of pre-built code, and its object-oriented design made it perfect for building complex software. It's kind of like building with digital Legos, right? Each object is a block you can reuse and snap together to build these massive scalable programs. Plus, it was dynamic, which means it only loaded what it needed at runtime, making it incredibly flexible.
And don't let the simplicity fool you. Java is an absolute powerhouse. It's multi-threaded, which just means it can handle a bunch of tasks all at the same time. Think of a chef who's chopping vegetables while also stirring a pot. It's also distributed, so applications can run across a whole network of different computer systems. And it's super robust, with this thing called automatic garbage collection, which is basically like a tiny Roomba inside the program, constantly cleaning up old, unused data to keep everything running nice and smooth.
And then there's security. This was a huge deal. Java was designed from the ground up to be a virus-free system. How? Well, it ran all the code inside a secure sandbox. That's the virtual machine we talked about. Before any code gets to run, a bytecode verifier acts like a security guard at a club, checking its ID to make sure it's not trying to do anything malicious. This made it way, way safer than older languages that gave code direct access to a computer's memory.
Okay, so that's the tech behind it all. But what does this mean for us today? Why would anyone learn Java now with all the new languages out there? Well, let's talk about the payoff.
So, what is the payoff today? First off, let's talk people. An estimated 9 million developers use Java all across the globe. This isn't some niche language. We're talking about a massive, thriving community that's been building, sharing, and improving Java code for decades.
But as big as that number is, it's actually dwarfed by the number of devices. You might want to sit down for this one. Java runs on an estimated 7 billion devices worldwide. Just let that sink in. Think about that for a second. We're talking about the Android operating system on your phone, complex scientific supercomputers, and the back-end systems of global banks.
Java is the invisible engine powering so much of our world.
So, naturally, that kind of demand translates into some incredible career opportunities. Being a Java developer is a really high-demand skill, and the salaries definitely reflect that. They can range anywhere from around $45,000 for entry-level spots to well over $120,000 for experienced engineers.
And who's doing the hiring? Oh, just some of the biggest names in tech. Google uses it for all of its Android development. Amazon and Oracle rely on it for their most critical systems. It's a foundational language for countless companies in web development, mobile, and even video game development.
All of this points to some serious longevity. In fact, a 2023 research paper on programming languages concluded that Java will, quote, remain a popular choice for developers for upcoming years. Its solid foundation means it just isn't going anywhere.
And that really brings us to the final and I think most interesting question. We live in a world where there's this constant stream of new, trendy programming languages popping up all the time. So, in the face of all that change, what is it about Java? That original promise of writing once and running anywhere, its raw power, its built-in security, what gives it such incredible staying power almost 3 decades later?